Renowned for breaking out into the acting scene on some of the biggest shows in Mzansi, such as Uzalo, Umkhokha, Nkosinathi Nay Maps Maphalala has become a household name. Since then, he has returned to his first love of music and subsequently released his first single in 2022, off-screen and out of the singing booth. Nay Maps focuses his energy on his entrepreneurial venture, which is his clothing brand, as well as his philanthropic work through the African Global Network NPO, with initiatives to focus on youth development as well as the back-to-school campaign. He now joins us in studio. A very good morning. Thank you so much for making time for us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Jeez, man, how do you feel? How do you feel with all of these things that you are doing? Where do you get all of the time? You only have, all of us, only 24 hours in a day.
True. Sometimes wish we had more hours. I think it's just a matter of prioritizing, you know. It's crazy. With the long hours we work on set, like 12 hours a day, I need to be intentional with my time. It's okay. Even though I've been on set for that long, there's time set apart for reading my scripts, but then I also have to put in the time for my music and the philanthropic work, just to dedicate those hours, 30 minutes, 15 minutes, each and every day they contribute and build up to something substantial.
But with assistance, of course.
With assistance, yeah, definitely. I think it's important to also realize that as an individual, we need one another. No man is an island. Yeah.
When did that moment come for you to say that, listen, yes, Nkosinathi is talented, but I also have other gifts that I want to explore. So we know you to be on screen, but there's also the singing element, but there's also the love for children and the love for education. And then there's the clothing brand as well. To say that I want to venture out into these avenues as well.
I think, it's you know, when you're doing something, you don't realize that you can actually really do it, or maybe you're gifted, up until people tell you about it. So honestly, it's a matter of looking into and within myself. It's okay. These are the things I love. I love acting. I love music. And whenever an opportunity came, I would put myself out there, be it music, be it acting, and then you know what eats you up, you know what makes you tick, you know what makes you happy. And then I realized that, okay, so I also have a love for children, and I have a love for and a passion for giving. So why don't I also focus my energies on that and then see that on set, I'm not on set, I'm not in the studio, let me also find a way to create a platform to be able to still do what I love. So, for example, we have created programs as well with our Nay Maps Foundation, whereby we educate through art. So I sat down with my brother, and my manager was like, okay, cool. So why don't we use maybe once a month or on weekends or when you're not shooting, and then we'll just do drives. We'll hit up certain charity houses or homes, charity homes, and arrange time to see them so that we can do that as well. So it's a matter of realizing that, and I think that happened for me, 2014, 2015? Seriously, from around 2016. Because then I realized that time is moving, and I cannot be sitting with what is in my heart. I remember my dad also says that the richest place on the earth is the graveyard, because so many people have passed on so many ideas and things that they wanted to do, but they never got to do them, you know, because of many reasons, whether it's circumstance or abantu bazotini. So it's just a matter of being intentional. It's not easy, but literally putting myself out there,
And your dad, Bishop Maphalala, he's somebody who's passed on, of course, but he was in a leadership position, you know, and when you're in a leadership position, people always look up to you.
Absolutely.
And there comes the pressure as well, that, listen, I need to consistently toe the line because there has been this expectation that has been created. What would you say that you've drawn from how he has carried on this leadership role, that you say that actually this is the way to go about it?
You know, my dad was always big on being true to yourself. And growing up and watching him influencing communities and the church, more especially being a man of integrity, It's not easy being a man who stands on his word, regardless of what the circumstance says. Ubaba was always like, make sure that if you're going to say something, stick to it. If you're going to do something, stick to it. Another example, when it comes to chores in the house, you know, see, whereby people say, no, these are women's chores or men's chores. Abantu besifazane bona kumele bakorobhe nezitsha wena umuntu wesilisa only do certain things mhlambe ngaphandle. My dad was always big to say no chore should have a gender related to it. So umuyindoda, for example, umunomuzi wakho, you got to be able to do all those things. You know, uthola ukuthi mhlambe awukabi nemali to have a helper. You as my son, as my firstborn son and only son, you got to be able to do those things that your mother does. So that it was we mela.
Yeah.
So Ubaba lived out. He's always lived out that example in front of me. So it would be a disservice to not follow suit with the footsteps and the image that he's put up for me.
Did you ever discuss the roles with him? That, listen, I've received this particular role. And, you know, like when we watch you on Umkhokha and you ask yourself, so where does he draw this from?
Yeah.
And once we do a bit of research, like, okay, so maybe just perhaps, maybe just perhaps, you know.
Yeah.
But did you ever have chats with him about roles that you are looking into taking?
Initially, we never really got into that up until I got into the industry, because it was that type of thing whereby the acting industry was not really seen as a formalized work, you know, or something that someone can say, okay, that is my employment.
Yeah.
It was only up until I landed my first role, and here's now, my son is playing a gangster, you know, and like I didn't grow up like that. Yeah, I'm Uzalo. And that's when the conversation started happening. And I think it was very shocked to see how, okay, this is my son, but how did he learn to handle a gun and all those things, you know? Only then the conversation started happening, and Ubaba was like, okay, so, hey, Baba, I guess, you know, I just find a way to tap into the character that I need to portray with each and every project. And then I think when we then spoke about how being able to get into character and tap out of it, then he started realizing that, okay, so I guess there is more to this gift and art called storytelling and filmmaking. Yeah.
And when it comes to the music, Umoya Wasendulo, well done again. Well done with pursuing the music career.
Thank you so much.
I can only imagine the pressure that comes with it. But why music once again? I know that you speak of music as it's always been one of your first loves, but why did you pursue it?
Interestingly, I thought I would get into the industry via music first, even though I hadn't released anything on my own yet, but I had worked with some people behind the scenes. I actually thought that was going to happen, but I guess God had another plan in mind. Music has always been within my heart. I was part of the worship team. At some point, I used to direct as a music director for the worship team. So music has always been a thing at Kai. Ubaba, before he preached, he'd always come and make us or tell us or ask us to come and sing before he preaches with my sisters. Because so it's me and my two younger sisters, Utano and Nwandi. And music just, anything I do has music to it. So I was like, you know what? It's been a long time coming. People have been hinting like, dude, when are you making your music? I was like, no, it's coming, it's coming. And I think being someone who is like a perfectionist, I sort of delayed, but I guess it was not a delay. I guess this has been the right time, and that's why I'm doing it. And also because it's healing, and music goes a long way. It even reaches places that you don't need to physically be there, and it impacts and changes people's lives. So, and I'm all about that. Yeah.
What's your message to your fans and the people who follow you right now? And also when you look at the message, for instance, that comes from the song. Abanye bafuna amandla. Abanye bafuna impumelelo.
True. So what I can say is that we can want a lot of things as people, youngsters, kids, whoever you are, but then you are graced with an opportunity to excel in everything that you involve yourself in. So be true to yourself. Understand and realize that and make it a point that you put God first in everything that you do, believe in yourself, and know that nothing is impossible as long as you believe.
Yeah, I think there's also power in achieving the goals that you set up for yourself.
Absolutely.
And you're more confident even in the role that you play. But thank you so much for the message there.
Thank you.
Nay Maps, much more coming, right?
Absolutely, there's more music coming, more roles, more great projects. So thank you for having me, Aldrin.
Thank you for making time for us. And you didn't go to church, so I'm sure your dad will be very upset with you.
Yeah, corner man.
We are corner, okay. That brings us to the end of the conversation there with award-winning actor and musician there, Nay Maps. Really appreciate your time.